Hi, I'm James the Light Guy, and today we're at my parents' house. We're going to upgrade my father's little landscape light over there with one of these Ledmo LED street lights. Let's get into it. These LED streetlights are big and beefy. I'll do a full video on it to feature it later. But right now we have all the supplies we need, the hardware, the tools, all the tools and supplies to get the job done. Always remember, wear your safety equipment. All right, let's get started. Alright, let's put this aside and get working on the post. We're going to cut down a 4x4 for the vertical post and then use a PVC post sheath to make it look pretty. And then we have a simple and ornate topper to see which looks better. First thing we got to do is cut these down to size. I think that this one is actually a good length for what we need. I'm going to just cut this one down to match it. As you saw, I cut the wood a little bit proud because I want to be able to sit this into the concrete and then slide this over. I may have to trim more off of this. I hadn't thought about that until as I was cutting. So, next thing I want to do is I want to figure out where in here it's going to mount. Say about there, and then grab the mount for the light to see where it and let's grab our caps to see how they would fit in. Alright, in either case we don't have much interference there, don't have to worry about it, which is good. Pre-drill a few holes. Alright, now that we have the holes in the PVC done, we can follow through on those holes in the wood below. Alright, this will give us our mounting holes. They didn't quite make it all the way through, but that's okay because we're going to groove out this back section. Let's get to that. Let me put away the drill. Saw is raise the blade up to the height I want. That should be plenty. Next, we're going to line up where about I want to start the cut. Grab our fence and lock that in place. My goal is to use the saw to make several grooves, and then chisel them out. Alright, I couldn't find my chisel, but I'm just going to use a pry bar, and we'll just groove seems good enough at this point. We may need to embiggen the area around these mounting holes for the hardware that goes here, but that large groove is to house the extension cord running up the back that will be pushed through. Alright, let's see how that hardware fits in. Adding in the consideration of the plate and sheath, we will need to deepen the holes right here, this area of the groove. So we'll just lift the table saw blade up a bit higher and just run it through this section a few times. Go. The trench is now fairly deep there and should give us ample space for the hardware. The next step is a step I look forward to the least. It's digging the post hole. So, let's get to it. Alright, I think that's about right. Alright, off camera, I decided I wanted to clean up the back of the post a bit, make it easier to do the mounting. But the next step is to dig a shallow trench for the wiring to go to the house. So I've grabbed a spade, and we're just going to work a trench over into the retaining wall here, and I will just bury the cord under the rocks here. Alright, we're going to dig this trench down about 2 feet before we lay the cable. Normally I'd like to use conduit or something to protect the cable to keep shovels and wayward digging from damaging it, but in this case, knowing that this is my parents' house and they're not going to be digging here, I'm comfortable just using the extension cord buried under the dirt. Alright, I'll be back in a minute. Alright, the weather's starting to turn on us, but I've now dug our electrical trench 1.5 feet, almost 2 feet down, and moved the retaining wall out of the way. We'll run the cord through the trench there, under this block, and I'll make another trench through the rocks to the outlet on the house where it'll plug in. It's starting to rain, so let's press forward. Alright, I've buried the wire in our trench. I still have to dig up the rocks to put it away, but we're going to work on the back here. What we have to do is I'm just going to use some masking tape to keep that wire in the trench so it doesn't interfere with our sleeve when we slide it over. And we have our wire ends stripped. Make sure that whenever you're doing wiring, it's either unplugged or the power is off. Alright, I'll be back in a bit. Alright, wire's all taped up and secure. The rest of this comes together pretty quick, so let's mount up the camera and see if I can do this before the rain sets in too hard. I will admit the next part of this plan was poorly conceived. I have to slide this over our wiring. Then somehow manage to feed our wire through that large hole. And now getting tools on this side when we mount our bracket on. Alright, it took quite a bit of effort, but managed to get the hardware in and tight. The rain's really coming down, so I gotta put away all these tools. I wouldn't normally mix concrete in the rain, but I don't really have much of an option today because this is my only opportunity to do the project. I've already ripped the bag, so let's just get to it. Alright, I'd also really like to let the concrete set before putting on this heavy lamp, but I don't have time. I'm hoping that the hole itself is tight enough to keep everything sturdy. First thing we have to do is connect up our wires, which I'm ever so slightly short. I wish I had given myself just a little bit more, but it's alright, I can do it up here. There we go. Now we just have to carefully tuck these wires back into our support post. Which, once again, is easier said than done. There we go. Looks great. Alright, this project is complete, and now we can see the change. From my father's original landscape light to this one. Wait for it. Yeah, that's a light. I hope you enjoyed joining me on this project. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And until next time, I'm James the Light Guy. Here it is at night in all of its glory. Say it lights up the house pretty well.